Hello, welcome to day one of Vlogmas, and thank you so much for clicking on this video. This video is going to be all about my monthly goals. We're going to talk about my November action items and my December action items, and this will be one of just a few pre-filmed videos for Vlogmas. Most of Vlogmas this year is going to be actually me vlogging every single day and getting that video up for you as quickly as possible. But to kick off the month, we've got a couple of pre-filmed videos, which of course includes a monthly goals video. I do these videos every single month where I sit down and talk about all the goals that I set for last month, how they went, which ones I did, which ones I already crossed off, and all the goals that I have set for the upcoming month. Because of the way the holiday falls this year, I am actually filming this video pretty far in advance, way earlier than I typically like to talk about my monthly goals. I'm filming this on November 17th. So I'm gonna talk about my November goals, how they're going, which ones I feel good about and which ones I don't. But obviously there is still a lot of time left this month for me to check off a lot of things, and I'll acknowledge that as we go on. But I feel really good about already having set my December goals. But getting ahead of myself, let's start by talking about November. So kicking it off with my monthly action items. The first one was to mail November birthdays, and I only had one, got that in the mail, feel good about that. The next one was to prep December birthdays, and I have not done that yet. Again, it's a little bit early in the month. I don't feel bad about that. Plus, most of my December birthdays, I mail, and by most, I mean all of them, I mail at the same time that I mail the holiday gifts. So sometimes they're a little bit delayed, or like my stepdad's, I try to bring to him in person when we get there. And so I'm not as concerned that I haven't even really thought about the December birthdays yet. I do always try to do a good job though of making sure that the December birthdays in my life get a separate gift from their holiday gift. The next monthly action item was to make progress on the honeymoon scrapbook, and I've shaded this all the way in. That doesn't mean I finished the scrapbook. In fact, I actually haven't scrapbooked anything this month, but what I did do was get all of my supplies organized and actually sitting out on my desk with my December daily supplies, and I'll talk a little bit more in December how I'm going to attack this goal, because I still have the goal of finishing the scrapbook by the end of the year. The next monthly action item was personal goal prep, and I started to do a little bit of this actually, mostly just brainstorming for the new year and kind of thinking about what products I'm personally going to be using, which is more than one. I understand that that's one of the reasons why I've been hesitant to share what my thoughts are, like what goal planners I'm gonna be using in 2023, because I am gonna dip my toe into a couple of different products, and I know that that's not an option for everybody because I have a business and I bought multiple goal planners because of the business. Sorry, the lighting is all over the place today. The sun cannot make up its mind if it wants to be out or not. But that is the progress I've made on my personal goals. I didn't shade it all the way in because I am still planning to make more progress in November. In fact, I have time on my calendar tomorrow to finish out what I want to finish for November. So I wasn't gonna finish it. Like when I put it on my monthly actions for November, it didn't mean I was gonna finish my personal goals. It just means I wanted to get through at least the first chunk of it. And I explained this a little bit more in last month's goals video, but basically tomorrow, I'm gonna be able to shade this all the way in. The next section here is deep clean the apartment. Kind of the same thing here. The shading I've done so far is the list. I made the list of things that I want to deep clean, which I actually shared in my favorites video that went up earlier this week. And then just like my personal goals, I actually have time on my calendar. Those are the two things I'm doing tomorrow, is working on some of that deep clean. I know I'm not gonna finish it tomorrow, so you'll see I've carried that over to December because I'm also doing like regular cleaning tomorrow before my family comes to visit, but I'm gonna make some progress on the deep clean list as well. All right, let's move into the weekly action items. The first one was steps. And y'all, not only have I not hit this any of the weeks, I'm definitely also not gonna hit it this week. I could probably go ahead and put that dot in there, but I like haven't even gotten close. And I think part of it is the weather. It has absolutely gotten colder and I don't want to go outside. If I don't have to, I'll take the train instead of walk because it's cold. And part of it was that my goal was unrealistic. And I almost knew that, and I talked a little bit last month about how I was going to keep it the same because I knew I was getting a lot of steps in October from not only dancing and being at dance, but commuting to dance, walking to and from the subways to get to and from dance. I was getting a lot of steps that way. And so of course, in my brain, I thought if I kept them the same, that's good enough. It's not. Like I needed to lower my goal basically, or I needed to come up with other ways that I was going to make sure I hit the goal. Like there wasn't just gonna be a little bit more thoughtfulness, wasn't gonna help me hit my step goal. I was going to have to consciously make decisions to walk more, and I didn't do that, so I'm not hitting this goal. And I'm not carrying this goal over to December, and not because it's not important, but you'll see I filled up a lot of lines in December, and so I knew I was gonna have to make cuts somewhere to make space for some of these other things that I'm prioritizing, and steps is one of those things that got cut. The other weekly action item I had was workout. And you can see I've done a decent job, but not totally hitting this every single week. And I don't think that it was because the goal was too big, because I wasn't dancing. Like 4 workouts a week seemed pretty realistic. For me, the harder part has been trying to figure out a routine. And if you've watched some of my vlogs recently, I've been trying to kind of figure out a morning routine that fits better with when I want to work out, what works with my energy levels, but like not giving up on it. But then also with daylight savings and the light, that's also changed things for me. So I'm still trying to figure that out. I am carrying this over to December, and you'll see the one change that I made that hopefully is going to help me hit this better in December. All right, let's move into daily action items. The first one was to read before bed, and I carried this over from October, even though October was great with this goal, but it's my 100-day challenge where I'm focusing on this for the last 100 days of the year. Has not been going well in November, right? I did it the first 2 days and then I completely fell off and have not done it since, not one night. And there's a lot of reasons for this. I think one of the reasons is I'm not really into the fiction book that I'm reading right now, which I talked about in the quarterly favorites video. I think part of it is I started rewatching a show that I really like, and I've been watching that to fall asleep before bed. And then also I think our travel in there kind of messed with it a bit. I feel like it's a lot of things. I also have been doing things at night, and when I go out and I come home, I don't do either of those things before bed. So I just go straight to bed. So I feel like there's a lot of reasons why, but I also think that I lost my momentum, and whatever the reason was that I lost it, and then I haven't been able to find it back. So I almost feel like I need to put that book on pause and read a different fiction book to like get my momentum back for this goal, and then maybe go back and try that other book again. For me, reading is so much momentum based, especially reading at night. All right, the next daily habit was to not hit the snooze button, and I actually like gave up, crossed this one off, let it go, like not even halfway through the month. And the reason I did that was not because I was doing it perfectly and didn't need to have it on my goal planner anymore. It was really more about prioritizing, and some other things became more important than getting up at a certain time every day and worrying about whether or not I was hitting the snooze button. So I just went ahead and drew a line through it and let it go. And then the last daily habit actually is something that I added halfway through the month that I didn't talk about in last month's video, but I started doing and was just like writing it on my daily planner every day. And so I decided to go ahead and add it to my goal planner, basically so I could help myself keep track of it. Both of these things also kind of stem from me working on my December goals, really realizing some things I wanted to add or take off or what was important, and I made these adjustments to my November goals. That's not necessarily something I would recommend, like reassessing and changing your goals all the time, but there are some months that things change and your priorities change and what's important changes. And so if you feel like you need that check-in, especially if you're using a planner that's just a monthly goal planner, it might not be the worst thing in the world to check in halfway, start to think about like, are these things I want to continue to focus on for the rest of the month? Is there something I want to add? Is there something I want to cross off? I have learned to be okay letting it get messy, crossing things off, adding things in that didn't start until halfway, because that's what works for me and my goals. All right, let's move into December, starting with the encouraging words. If you have watched these videos before, you know I typically will pick a theme and a topic, something that I know that I want these words to be about, and then I will scroll through an app that I use called Motivation. It's literally all it's called, and it's an app of motivational quotes, and I will pick a quote that I feel like fits for me that month. And so the theme, or what I was looking for in my app this month, was happiness. That was what I wanted to prioritize in December. So I wanted a quote that reflected that. And I found this quote from Brene Brown, who I love, and I highly recommend her books. And the quote was, "Want to be happy? Stop trying to be perfect." So then after picking that quote, I decided to make my priority for the month imperfection, and to really embrace that. And if you have not read The Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown, highly, highly recommend. In fact, I probably could use a reread. Let's move into the monthly action items. Like I mentioned, I got a little bit ambitious. There's a lot of things I want to accomplish in December, and I'm kind of cutting back a little bit on some work stuff to make space for some of these personal things. But in the monthly and the daily sections, I filled up every single line, which I told you before, I do not recommend unless you have lots of free time. But some of these things are small, and I'm gonna make time for them, okay? So the first one on here is to mail Christmas and then also mail the December birthdays. Like I said, I probably will do those at the same time. I gave them 2 separate lines just in case I decide to actually physically give my twin brothers whose birthdays are in December. I'm seeing them in person next week. If I can manage to figure out their gifts for their birthdays and give them to them in person next week, I'm gonna count that. And then if I mail the rest of the December birthdays with Christmas stuff, I'll feel good about that. So that's why I put them on 2 separate lines. although they might just end up happening at the same time. And then the next one was to prep January. And I talked about this a little bit last month. I'm not like carrying this goal over into 2023. So you're not gonna see these like birthday things, mail and prep on my goals going forward in the new year, but I need to figure out how to incorporate them into my regular schedule in life because I want to keep doing them. The next monthly action item is to finish the scrapbook, and when we get down to the daily section, you'll see kind of my plan on how I'm gonna do that. I am totally a supporter of having goals in more than one place. So like I said, you'll see the action I'm taking on the scrapbook in a different place on my goal planner. And then if I finish it, if I finish it, then I will get to shade in this entire bar in the monthly section. Then all of the other monthly action items are things from my prepare for the new year list. That was one of my quarterly goals, was to prepare for the new year. And I made a list of things I wanted to do, and I haven't done a ton of them going like since then. Really, October the goal was just to make the list, and then I did a little bit in November. So most of these things are falling into December. So the first one is to actually finish my personal goals, right? I started working on them in November. This is probably a gimme. Like, I'm gonna finish my personal goals. I'm gonna film videos about them, but I put them on here anyway. The next one was to finish deep cleaning the apartment. Again, I feel like I'm going to make a decent amount of progress, hopefully, by the end of November. But I really would like to finish this list in December. In fact, I ordered some moving boxes to just really start to make some progress so that in January and February, if you don't know what I'm talking about, we're moving at the end of February, like across the country. From New York City to Chicago. And I really do want to spend January and February, to the best of my abilities, spending time with people in New York and not worrying about like getting our apartment all packed up and all of those things. So really hoping to finish this list by the end of December. The next one is to set up a monthly tracker. This also kind of has to do with that birthday goal, but I want to I want to create one of those like where you got the months across the top and all the things I want to do every single month, and I want to start that at the beginning of the year. The next one is to get my budget spreadsheet transferred over and set up for the new year, and the gift spreadsheet transferred over and set up for the new year. And then the last one is to make a book, like to update my book list. I use Goodreads, and I'm constantly adding books that I want to read to that list, but I feel like I forget about them. So I want to do a couple of things like related to this. In fact, I probably could break this down somewhere else. There's really like 3 big steps I want to do. The first one is I want to add any new books that I've learned about this year from other people. I'm probably going to ask Instagram to share their favorite books, and I want to add those to my list. I should probably do that second. First, I want to go through my list on Goodreads and like delete anything that I don't actually want to read anymore. Like, I've added it at some point, but I don't want to read it now. And then I want to make like a hit list for 2023. Not necessarily like I have to read these books or I have to read all of these books, but just sort of like a trimmed down, more focused list from the massive list of books I want to read on Goodreads. Let's move into the weekly action items. Like I said, I'm not carrying over steps into December, and the only weekly action item I'm carrying over is working out. And when I filmed the part, like the top-down part of this, I just wrote workout 4 times. Same thing I did in October, same thing I did in November. But then what I did was I realized I need to do something different. Like, I can't just keep carrying over the same thing and not hitting it. So one of the things that I'm trying differently in December is that I went ahead and wrote the word Monday. And otherwise, I'm not being specific about the days, which is it's going 2 ways. I feel like I'm not explaining this well. Okay, so part 1 is that I want to make sure I focus on Mondays. Working out for me is a big momentum-based action step. So I know that if I prioritize working out on Mondays, I will be way more likely to hit the goal throughout the rest of the week. So that is part 1, is that I want to make sure that, like, if I don't do it on Monday, I don't get that first check mark, even if I work out 4 other days that week. If I don't do it Monday, I don't get that first check mark. So that's part of it. The other part of it is, while yes, in my ideal schedule, and I talked about this last month, was working out Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, that is still maybe the plan, but I'm also not doing lives in December because of Vlogmas. So I could work out Wednesdays if I skip Tuesday and still get my 4 days. And heck, I could work out Saturdays or Sundays depending on what my schedule looks like. So I really want to give myself the flexibility. Like in November, I didn't. If I missed like Tuesday or Thursday, I went ahead and did a little dot. I might as well freaking put the days on November. So those are kind of the 2 mindset shift things that I'm trying to implement for this goal in December to hopefully make better progress. It's probably still not going to be perfect, right? Especially embracing the imperfection this month, but really hoping to do a better job than I did in November. All right, let's move on to the daily action items. This is probably where I'm getting a smidge ambitious. Not only am I filling up every line, but a lot of these things are time consuming, right? Like, if you put things in your daily section that are tracking, or like a 1 minute, 30-second task, it's one thing. Some of these are like a decent, I guess they're not all super long, I'm looking at it again, but like there's a lot on here. I'm gonna embrace the imperfection. I know I'm not gonna do every single one of these every single day. And for some of these, I'm really only aiming to do it until we leave for the holidays, which is the 21st. So I'm only focusing on like powering through these for 3 weeks, which makes it feel a little bit more reasonable. So the first one on here is to scrapbook. I will be sitting down to scrapbook and craft every day anyways for December daily, and so I want to also work on the honeymoon scrapbook. And there are 15 days of the honeymoon scrapbook, so if I do 1 per day and then miss 5 days before we leave, then I will finish it by the end of the month. So that is the goal, is that when I sit down to do December daily, I also sit down and work on the honeymoon scrapbook. The next one on here is to do journaling in the morning. I talked about this a little bit. I gave a little bit of a hint to this in the Moxie Life review video, that I love that daily guided journaling in the morning intentions for the day, and I'm gonna start using mine in December. So while that one is a new habit, it's also one that is going to very easily fit into a current routine. In fact, I'm gonna take something out of my morning routine and plop this in. So this one, while it is new, I'm not super concerned about not being able to do it. And again, if I don't do it every day, that's fine. The next one on here is to do my PM routine. So this is different than reading before bed, because I've talked about this before, that for me as a not night person, sometimes doing my PM routine at 7 p.m., like right after we're done with dinner, is beneficial for me. And I have not been doing that. Even on nights that we're just at home, I will sit on the couch until 9:30 and then be like, hey, I'm tired, I'm going to bed, and totally skip my PM routine. And there's a lot of steps in there that make me a better version of me in the morning. And so I want to make sure that I'm prioritizing that, especially on the days that we're just home and not doing anything. Then the next one after that is to read before bed. Again, this is totally separate. There is possible there's gonna be some correlation between these two, but I can also see nights where I do one and not the other, which is why I have them on 2 separate lines. And then the last 3 action items are all related to preparing for the new year. The first one is the lottery, which I realized I didn't even talk about in the November section. You probably were watching that and being like, Laken, you never even explained what that was. So what it is entering the Broadway ticket lottery. A lot of the shows, not all of them, but most of the shows here in the city have where they want to fill the seats for the day of or the day before shows. So you can enter online for last minute tickets for shows, and it's a much more discounted price, but you find out the day before. And so I may or may not have created a spreadsheet with mine and Sam's availability and what days we can enter the lottery because we're both available, what shows are we prioritizing, and it works, y'all. Like when the day I'm filming this video, yesterday for tonight, we actually won 2 shows and we had to pick which one we were gonna go see. I hope we eventually win the other one again, but it is something that we wanna prioritize. Some of those shows, I think we will, if we don't win the lottery, we'll still end up buying tickets, but if we can save a little bit of money and see it with the lottery, I am planning to enter every day that we are available in December. The next daily action item on here is to spend 10 minutes on the apartment list. I think, so for November, it worked out better for me to just like put 2 big chunks of time to work on this on my calendar. But in December, I think I'm gonna be better off doing a little bit every single day. And we'll see if it ends up working out for me. I think it's gonna be beneficial, especially since I've broken it down pretty granularly on my like breakdown list. But I'm hoping to just kind of make a little bit of progress every day because we have a lot of plans in December. So finding a big chunk of time is gonna be tough. So I thought this would be a better way to go about this goal. And then the last daily action item is actually something personal I'm not gonna go into super detail about, related to preparing for the new year. This is the one on the list that's like, it is like a 1 or 2 minute task. It shouldn't take me all that long. All right, that's it. Those are all my action items for the last month of the year. Can you believe that we are here? Entering the last month, I want you to share in the comments below what is one goal or one action step that you're excited for that you are going to do this month to finish out the year proud. I don't necessarily like when we say I'm gonna finish strong, because I don't want you to spend December like burning yourself out and trying to make up for all of the progress you may or may not have made the first 11 months of the year. I want you to finish proud. And even if that's just picking one goal that you focus on for the month, one small habit to help you carry momentum into the new year, that's helpful. So I want you to let us know in the comments what's one thing you're looking forward to goal related in the month of December. And if you liked this video, if you like these goals videos, I am planning to carry them into the new year because I like them too. Please give this video a thumbs up. And if you're new here, please click that subscribe button. I upload new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but every day here during Vlogmas. Thank you so much for watching. The next, finished the honey, that's the wrong month. All right, let's move into talking about December, starting with me. All right, let's move into December, starting with the, what is it called? Oh, encouraging words. You know that I typically give up because the sun hates me.